Welcome back to the Grounded Brand Podcast, episode number 13. We are here early June and going to talk about turkeys and turkeys for tomorrow tonight.
Yep.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's glad to have you back.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah.
You know, the beach was fun.
I bet it was.
You look tan.
I am. I got a little sunburned one day.
It happens. I'd like to put in my PTO now.
Okay.
So we'll
Anytime.
Yep, we'll figure out,
It's pretty
day
much every day for
you're
you,
lucky
right?
You're lucky you went before the sharks.
No lie.
That's right, man.
dude, that's crazy
been
what's happening
brutal.
down at the beach.
Yeah, my son's down there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We left.
He ain't sent
man.
no pictures in the water.
We
yet.
left about 3 days before all those jokers came in, so I'm
Yeah.
thankful for that.
Man, I've seen
Real
photos of
pictures
like,
coming out.
yeah, pictures of like sharks inches away from people.
Yep.
Not even know it. It's crazy.
That's right.
So tonight we've got Pete from TFT with us. Pete, give us your title and just kind of give us a little bit of rundown. I think a lot of turkey hunters know about TFT, but it's definitely a growing organization. So give us kind of the rundown of what you do for them and then just the organization as a whole.
All right. So my name's Pete Daugherty. I'm the director of outreach for Turkeys for Tomorrow. And what that role encompasses is I stand up chapters across the country. I do membership drives. I do fundraising events. Anything that helps promote TFT and get the name out there, get people aware of the organization, and drive people to the organization. TFT as a whole, we are I'm going to say more of a research-driven grassroots organization. We saw a need 3 years ago, our original founders, that there wasn't enough research actually being done because of the decline in turkeys. And there's been a decline for 10, 12 years. People just didn't want to talk about it. So the guys got together. Everybody threw in some money, put their money where their mouth was. We got a 501c3 designation, and 3 years later, here we are. We're all over the country. We've got members in every state. We've got members in Canada. We've even got members in Mexico, which is
Nice.
interesting.
That's
So,
awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So we're growing at a rapid pace. We're doing a lot for turkeys, and it's great to be on board with an organization that's actually getting out there and doing something.
When you talked about people didn't really want to talk about it, what do you think the reason behind that was? That they didn't want to
For the
talk about the turkey?
The decline,
Yeah.
the reason for the decline, or why they didn't want to talk
Why
about
they didn't want to talk about it?
it? Nobody really wants bad news, really.
Right.
Of course, the media is covered with it because people get interested in it. But
Right.
when it comes to something you love like turkeys, I really don't think organizations wanted that to be out in the open, because at some point people said, hey, we've got turkeys restored, mission's complete, we're done. Turkeys
Right.
are. And then we started to see that decline, and y'all have all probably turkey hunted in lots of places,
Yeah.
and I've been blessed myself. But a couple years ago, I'd go by a place I hunted 5 or 6 years ago, and there may have been a flock of turkeys there, and then now I see one or two or none.
Right.
And I think it was more the fact that people just didn't want to accept it, and people didn't want to hear the bad news
Right.
that turkeys are declining, because it's a real thing. We see it. We hear from people every day all across the country that,
Yeah.
hey, I don't have turkeys like I used to.
Right.
I think that's something we've talked a few times on the podcast about.
Yeah.
I know when Taylor was here, we talked with him as well about, just in his neighborhood, some of the areas that he's seeing decline. So talk to us about some of the specific conservation efforts that you guys got going on in order to help bring turkeys back.
So right now, like I said, we're 3 years young, so we're not that old of an organization, and the majority of what we've got going on is research. We look at things from a science-based perspective. We want to make sure that everything we're doing is factual, that it's a science-based solution for long-term sustainability. That's what we like to say. That's how we're going to save the wild turkey. Facts don't have feelings, and if turkeys are declining in an area and we're doing some research, then we're going to say it. It may not be popular, it may not be something that people want to hear, but that's the truth. And if we don't bring it to the forefront, then nothing's going to get done. We've worked with multiple states on various levels throughout the country doing research projects. We have been, or we're working with Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Mississippi State. We work with state agencies in Alabama, Iowa, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, and we're finalizing a project right now, a multi-state project in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi that's going to impact over 1 million acres when it's done.
Wow.
And that project is going to start in 2025. And then we're also working on a project in Texas that is looking at nest success for hens, survival rates, predation rates, and that's going to touch on a topic that's included supplemental feeding for deer. That is probably not going to be very popular, but we want to see. Yeah, and we all know, here in Alabama,
Yeah.
I mean,
My corn
but-
don't hurt them turkeys, boy.
Yeah.
exactly. But we want to see how that's actually impacting turkeys on the landscape.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's really been done that directly can correlate the two. So having this project in Texas, once we get it going, and y'all know how big Texas is, and y'all
Yeah.
know how feeding deer in Texas goes.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So that's a prime place. But, and we've also got, speaking, conservation and awareness, we've also got the Wild Turkey Science podcast.
Yeah.
Dr. Will Goolsby and Marcus Lashley have it. When we started to fund that thing and support it, we never thought it would get where it is. It's had over 600,000 downloads as a podcast.
Wow.
It's incredible.
And when you educate people and bring awareness to a topic, there's not a dollar value you can really put on that. So between that, our social media platforms, they're growing just at a record pace. Our Facebook, Instagram, all that. Just getting that awareness out there and educating people on things that can be done. I think that's a huge way to work on that, on the issues.
Yeah, definitely. I listened to the Wild Turkey podcast or science podcast, and it's some great information that you get on there, but kind of like you were talking about, you can't put a dollar amount on that, but also within that, the amount of just drive that it puts within people to go out there and manage a piece of property. You can't put a dollar amount on that either, because I've sent that to, like Brandon and Dwayne that was on the podcast a couple of months ago, a couple guys around here, and they're getting fired up over wanting to go, do some habitat management now. Just over listening to a podcast, and it's like, man, that's that trickle down effect that, state agencies can set regulations and can set bag limits and can do that, but at the end of the day, it's up to the private landowner to really conserve this. Just because that's where
you have more freedom. To do stuff
you got more freedom, but there's way more acreage wise,
right?
Versus in public.
And that's one of the things, Marcus and Will, they don't sugarcoat anything on that. They specifically state the facts of what comes out of any research done, whether it's by them or a fellow biologist or fellow professor or anyone like that. So it is what it is. They don't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
And people need to hear that, because, like I said, if we don't talk about the ugly side of it, the decline, then nothing's ever going to be done, and people are just going to continue to just think everything's okay and turkeys are great, turkeys are thriving, when in reality they're not. It's a real issue.
It'll end up being like the bobwhite quail.
Yeah, we don't want that.
White quail, and unless you've got a 7,000 acre plantation and unlimited funds to take care of it, you're just not going to have turkeys.
The fact that you got 600,000 downloads, that's pretty encouraging.
Yeah.
At one time, I want to say, and I don't want to misspeak, but at one time, I think that podcast in the new science category was top 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah,
that is huge.
That's massive. And, they cover a range of topics. They've got other professionals. I know Dr. Craig Harper's been on. I know Dr. Mike Chamberlain. I know Brett Collier's been on. All kinds of people that are synonymous with the turkey world, as we call it, I guess, from research side. And people that are very professional in their field that know what they're talking about. So, when you hear it from those guys, I think it really hits home with people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Pete, talking about the Wild Turkey Science podcast there, and speaking with Marcus and Will, what would you say that y'all have found out to be the biggest threats that the wild turkey's facing right now?
So, like I mentioned, we're a 3-year organization. We're still very young, and the projects that we're funding, all the research, it's a 3 to 5 year project. So we don't have a ton of information from these yet. Some of them are starting to wrap up the 3 years, and some are still ongoing. And as a biologist, Drew, I mean, nothing like that ever happens fast. But one of the projects that we did have with Dr. Goolsby is we banded 20 hens, and we did that for poult recruitment, nest success, hen survival. And of the 20 hens, 18 survived. 15 of those attempted to nest, and out of those 15, only 2 successfully hatched at least one poult. And of those poults, none survived. The remaining 13 nests of the 15 were abandoned or destroyed. So just that alone tells you predation is a serious issue.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just look at that. But that's something that we feel really strongly about at TFT, and it's an people say it's an ugly topic they don't want to talk about, but trapping and predator management, we'll talk about it. It's something that's got to be done.
Yeah.
There's no right answer. There's no single answer that's going to solve the problem. I think it's a multi-pronged approach, and predation is a huge aspect of these hens. Once they get to a certain point, they don't leave that nest, and if you've got a predator that comes along, they're going to kill that hen, and then the entire clutch is lost. So predation's one thing that has definitely came out of one of our research projects we've helped fund, but these others are ongoing. I know Dr. Goolsby and his grad students are compiling some data on some of the other ones. So once they get those done, we'll put that out. These biologists, these researchers, they hold a lot of that stuff close to the vest because they want to make sure it's as accurate as possible.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
But that should be something that they should do that. You don't want to put out, the wrong information, but when it comes out, I think we're going to see a lot of stuff that we're expecting to see. And I mean, we know, like I said, predation is definitely one. So it's definitely cause for concern in my book.
For sure.
With all the research that you guys have going on, and has any talk been done about habitat loss or anything like that, as far as land being lost? What are you guys working on there?
So, I mean, there's only so much you can do when it comes to habitat loss. One of the biggest things, and I'm 42 years old, and I know pieces of property that I grew up hunting that were hundreds of acres. That they're now it's a subdivision. Here in Alabama, 92% of land is privately owned here in Alabama. So what we're seeing is a lot of these large tracts are being broken up and sold. If somebody comes in and has the money and offers a farmer the right amount, that's a subdivision or this big block of timber. Well, when you have that, it's called fragmentation. So once that fragmentation happens, everything shrinks.
Right.
Well, guess where all the turkeys have to go? Well, guess where all the predators go?
Exactly.
So now you've got less land with more turkeys, more predators, and that's the big thing.
That all plays into it. I know we've seen a lot of that around here where we're at.
Golly.
There was a lot of places. There's a place on our way to the house where we used to see turkeys out there all the time.
Yep.
Wooded area, beautiful woods in there, and they just completely wiped it out. Apartment complexes now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we're like, where are they moving to now?
I was talking to a gentleman one time here in Huntsville in Mid-City, and he was set up selling something at a farmer's market, and he's an older gentleman. He's probably 80 years old. And he was like, I remember where we are standing right now, my grandfather used to farm.
Yeah.
And he's like, now it's like he's sitting in the parking lot of Topgolf, So it's like,
I know, right?
Yeah, it's happening all over the place.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, a turkey can't nest in a, manicured subdivision.
No.
Hedges or flowers or whatever landscaping. I mean, that's just it's just not going to happen. I mean, and that's huge because, like y'all said, y'all live in the Huntsville area, and I live close to Montgomery, and everything's just going out,
expanding out. Yep.
Yeah. Everybody wants to have 5, 10, 15, 20 acres.
Yeah, they do.
And rightfully so. I don't blame them. I'd like to live like that too.
For real.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about some of the specific initiatives? I know you guys are working on research projects and stuff, but what are you guys doing for like this habitat loss and conserving turkey habitats?
So that's a great question, and there's one thing that we're really excited about that Jason Lapardis, our director of partnership and development, He's a biologist by trade, great guy, knows a lot of people, has been in the nonprofit NGO arena for a long time. We're currently discussing and working on developing a private land cooperative, and I know y'all all are familiar with QDMA, which is now NDA, and they all work for deer. They all worked with private cooperatives to get growing deer, and we're wanting to start doing something like that with landowners for turkeys, because if we can get multiple landowners in a given area to all get on the same page and start managing for turkeys like people used to do for deer, we really think we can influence the turkey habitat and create more turkeys. It's on a much larger scale than doing it with one individual.
Yeah.
So I mean that's something we really think is gonna go over well, and we're really excited about. One of the things that I've been really pumped about is one of our chapters in West Virginia. They teamed up with the state BHA chapter, and they contacted a local biologist for one of the WMAs, and they spent an entire weekend, all volunteers, spent an entire weekend on a WMA in West Virginia doing habitat improvement and habitat management for wild turkeys.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's not something that just the chapter members, committee members, and BHA guys are going to enjoy. That's everybody in that part of West Virginia that can go and benefit from that. So we've got a lot in the works with our chapters that are reaching out to the WMAs, the biologists that manage those WMAs, to see what we can do to help out. But the private land cooperative, we really think is going to be something big, that initiative that can really help in protect and conserve turkey habitat. Because I don't know of any public land that doesn't touch private land.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
If private land is doing it, turkeys may have a home range of 500 acres. Turkeys may have a home range of 4,000 acres. So they're going to stumble upon that public land if it's touching private. And if we're helping private landowners, then at some point, public land hunters are going to benefit from it as well.
All right. So Pete, talk to us about, any successful case studies or, success stories that you guys have seen from your conservation efforts so far.
So I would say, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of that research and stuff still going on. The main thing with the data that we've gathered is from that hen survival poult recruitment study. I would think within probably the next 6 months we would have some more data that's finalized and hashed out from Dr. Goolsby and some of those other guys that would actually show, I would say, success, get successful information from the study. It may not be successful for the turkey, but it'll actually be information that we need to make determination on things. So I would just pay attention to our social media, emails, the Wild Turkey Science podcast, any of that. So when that comes out, people pay attention will hear it. So I think that's where we stand with that right now. I think the biggest success for us, though, is the education awareness that we're bringing to the issue. We want to make sure that people know that there's an actual problem and that there's a decline. And research is one thing, but when we bring that awareness and educate people, I think that's probably our biggest success story. And I think that's one of our reasons for our rapid growth.
Yeah.
Is we're telling the ugly truth.
Well, you talk about 600,000 downloads on the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
that'll do it right there.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
Dr.
a success
Lashley
story
and
in
Dr.
itself.
Goolsby must be doing something right. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that listen to it religiously. In fact, I mean, we all do too. And it's a wealth of knowledge between those two that you get, and their guests and people that come on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a success story in itself.
Yeah, for sure.
The guys asked me, was there anything else I wanted to talk about? And I really wanted to talk about the success of our chapters that have been stood up across the country this last year. We started the chapter program in October of 23. I think we had 9 chapters, and now we're up to 24 chapters with another 5 or 6 that are pending right now. We're in 11 or 12 states, 4 or 5 more states pending finalizing their chapters, getting everything together. So, I mean, that's substantial growth right there with the chapters. And I contribute that all to people in those areas and regions that are really, really concerned about turkeys. We got passionate guys on all our chapter committees, raising a lot of money for research in their areas. And we're wanting to work directly with those chapters and giving them a lot of ownership for those areas to say, hey, you know, this is what we would like to see in our area. This is what we want to do. This is who we want to work with. So those chapters aren't just out there raising a bunch of money and, you know, it going somewhere that they don't have an impact or a decision on. You know, those guys get to say, hey, we want to do this or we want to do that. And we evaluate everything, of course. Nothing's guaranteed, but I mean, they have a lot of ownership in those chapters, and seeing those guys, the work they're doing to get people involved with TFT it's big. It's really rewarding to see those guys do it.
So if somebody's listening to this podcast and they want to start a chapter, they got a bunch of friends that want to get one started. How would they go about doing that?
They can go on turkeysfortomorrow.org, and there's an actual chapter application that they can click on. When they fill that out, it comes to me, and I've got a tracker, and it's strictly for administrative purposes. I can take that application, I can review it, I can look and see if anybody else in their area has filled one out, and that way, like in Mississippi, I got a chapter there that 3 or 4 guys filled one out, didn't even know they had all filled it out.
Yeah,
half of them knew each other. And I just reached out and said, hey, do you know this guy? Do you know that guy? Well, yeah. So I just linked them all up. They got a chapter going. So it's one of those things where we can see where the most demand and the most growth for TFT is in an area or a region. And they fill it out. I'll send them some documents. They can look over them. It's kind of some guidelines, responsibilities that they need to know that come with starting a chapter. And then if they want to do it, man, we get it going, and we do banquets, we do social events, we do habitat days, landowner days. It's not just a banquet once a year and nothing else happened in the area. We want to be fully involved and engaged in that area so that we're giving back to that region, that part of the state. And there's the people that come to those events see a benefit to their dollar that's going to the chapter and to TFT. It's not just, hey, come out, win some guns, eat a meal, have some drink, and we'll see you next year.
Right.
No, we're putting way more into the areas that are doing these than that.
That's awesome. Colton, you can attach a link to
sure can.
Show notes on that.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in learning more about, you know, Turkeys for Tomorrow and even, you know, starting a chapter, we'll put a description in the show notes and on all of our, you know, social media links as well. And one thing we're super excited about too is, you know, Grounded as a company, we believe highly in conservation. You know, we're all land management, you know, in that realm. And so we're proud, you know, to partner with Turkeys for Tomorrow. We made a big announcement about it a few months ago. And that was really exciting for us because, you know, we believe highly in what you guys are doing. And for those listening, if you become a TFT member, you actually get a specific discount code that you can use on Grounded. And the only way to access that is if you become a TFT member.
That's right.
That's correct.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, the Grounded vests, the gaiters, the gloves, you know, everything we've ever gotten from Grounded has always been a hit at the banquets. They've been on we've either auctioned them off as like a mystery vest with some of our foot on the head calls and stuff in them, or, you know, we put them on the raffle tables, and people seem to gravitate toward them, and they always do well. I mean, they know a good quality vest when they see one.
Well, we appreciate that, Pete.
If I could just get a hat now, that's my.
I know, right?
I know, man. We'll get you a hat. Don't worry. We'll send you one out.
It's coming, man. It's coming.
It's on a slow truck, but it's coming.
Right.
Slow truck, yeah. Well, Logan will be mad if I take my foot on the head.
He'll just have to
He'll
get mad.
over it. He'll get over
I
it.
have to get over it.
We'll need to send Logan a bill for tonight's episode.
Yeah, we
for
sure will.
advertising.
I'll make him buy me a box of Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes.
Yeah, that'll work.
There you go. That'll work.
He'll gladly do that.
Well, Pete, is there anything else you want to talk about with Turkeys for Tomorrow?
I think that's it, man. You know, like you mentioned, there'll be a link for an application. People can go on turkeysfortomorrow.org. You can check on the events, the Feathers and Philanthropy tab, if you want to see if there's anything in your area. We've got stuff going on in Kentucky, Louisiana, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, South Carolina from June through August right now. I'm sorry, June through October. there's going to be events listed on the site. So if you get on and see one of the events, at some point there'll be a tab for get tickets. If you want to attend, you can buy tickets online. If you want to become a member, we have various member levels that you can get. And if you got any questions, there's a link on there as well. You can click on it and an email will go out if you've got questions. But we'd love to have, people join. We'd love to have people be involved. And we look forward to continuing to grow the organization and helping turkeys. That's what we're here for, is the wild turkey. There's no mission drift for us. It's 100% wild turkey, and that's it. Nothing else. So I appreciate y'all having me on tonight, and thank y'all for being a big supporter and partner of TFTs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys. It's a great honor for us, and so thank you guys for the conservation work you're doing, and we're glad to be a part.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, this was episode number 13. We officially made it through a baker's dozen.
Yep, we did.
Yep. You guys are
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
That's right.
You guys are finally back. So we'll be at full force for at least another week, maybe.
Maybe so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, y'all. Well, this was episode number 13. As always, you can check us out on YouTube. We also have audio versions as well. And then you guys are also, you guys are proud supporters of Grounded if you're listening to the podcast every week. So Be sure to check out the website. Coming up soon, I know it's kind of not the season to talk about it, but, man, we're working on some great stuff. And it'll be coming out next year. And we're going to be at a few different events next year as well that we're finalizing. So
we're excited to announce those when we can.
Yeah, we will be. So y'all check us out. Check out the website, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.